Hello, good people. It's your psychologist again. As usual, my name is Rachael Anyona, a counseling psychologist in Kenya, Nakuru. That's our base. And I am glad to have you on board, that you are watching this, a very, very important segment and topic of discussion. And by the way, have you noticed how so many people are killing themselves and they are killing other people? Like suicide and homicides have grown wild in this country. The other day, DCI Kenya released a report like 2 weeks ago that 483 people had died to suicide in 3 months. Can you imagine that? Like, that's not rosy, right? There are things that we can do. Maze, we can talk, we can have a conversation, you can speak out. If you need help, we can support you. You have people, you have support. Don't die, don't kill. It's not worth the effort. We've come from far. So, and I was thinking, in my own reasoning, the statistics that DCI gave, it's not the actual number. Because for one, suicide and attempted suicide is a criminal offense in this country. So many people who try into suicide, their kins wouldn't allow police to know what has gone through in that home or in their lives, because they fear the 2-year jail that will be awaiting their family members or their friends. So who would, even in their wildest thoughts, take their people to police for trying suicide for the issues that they are struggling with? Number two, suicide has a lot of stigma around it. There are cultures that when you die to suicide, you're even beaten, you are molested, you are not even given a great send-off, your church can even refuse to bury you. There are so many aspects that surround suicide and other mental illnesses, especially suicide, because they say it's not a good way to die, and of which obviously there's no good way to die. So people are suffering, and they are suffering in silence, and I would just urge people to reach out and seek help. There are so many professionals in this country. There are people who are looking for people to support you. There are people who are willing to give you support that you need. Please just help, ask for help, and we'll be there for you. And there are so many reasons as to why these things are happening. The reasons that I'll give, they are psychologically based. It could differ with what you are thinking or what you've researched on, or whatever it is, but these are basically psychological based reasons. Reason number one, that there is some bit of projection in this contemporary society. I mean, it's not that suicide or homicide is a new thing, but it's just gone way too far. Why? People are trying to project their anger, their frustrations, their energies that are negative. And people are getting this anger from negative energies, even at workplace, even at home. You realize the way police are killing each other like flies, and husbands are killing wives, wives are killing children, and it's just all over the place. You see, it's a cycle. Like, if you get frustrated at work, you project to someone who is close to you and who is junior than you are. So for instance, if it's your boss that is frustrating you, you go home, you frustrate your wife, your wife frustrates the child frustrates the cat, and it gets to a point that murder is involved, which is just so foul. Like, there are better ways these things can be sorted out other than projection. It's not a very good way of managing your stress or anger. On that point, anger management is another thing that we need to focus on as a country, as a people, as a person, a personal decision. Like, there are so many things that anger us, and it is okay to be angered. There is no one perfect person in this whole world that they will say, I'm not angered, or I am very perfect person in anger management. Even Jesus was angered at some point anyway. So it is all right to be angered, but how do you handle your anger? At what extent does this anger has to go? What are the best ways you can do, or things you can do to help you handle this anger, that it doesn't explode to the extent of killing or hurting yourself or someone else? Like, we can have a conversation around anger management maybe some other time, but it's something that you can try and invest yourself in it. Something else that you can think about is, as a country, is how to manage stress. And these are things that can be integrated even in our schools, like for life skills training, like very basic. For instance, if you are in a training, a college, a university, you're taking a course and all that, you need to like basically understand how do you handle stress, because obviously you're going to experience stress. You're going to have stress anxiety with exams, with new environments, with lecturers. So imagine if this information started getting into these people like at the younger age, like maybe even in primary schools, they're integrated in their syllabus. Definitely they would be changed people, they would act better, they would handle their conflicts better, they would handle their stress better than you are way adult, then something comes up and you have no idea how to go about it, because everyone has been thinking for you and the systems are already thinking for you. You're not even able to think or outside the box or think like there is no box in the first place. That's the nitty-gritty details that people need to get to understand as far as life is concerned. Do you know conflict is part of life, and there is no perfect relationship without conflict. If you are not conflicting in your relationship, then one of you is pretending to be who they are. Mother, father, children, wherever, at work, at home, there has to be conflicts, because conflicts are very healthy. They make us who we are. They help us think beyond the obvious, and they also make us get the confidence that we have. You get to understand people, and you get also to understand yourself. And yes, invest in conflict resolution skills, be it arbitration, be it even inside or outside the court, whatever it is that you will do, but try to handle your conflicts in a manner that is acceptable to the community, that it is of help to you and to the others, because it's very important that when you have a conflict, you resolve it, and you resolve it in the best and the most appropriate way. You cannot resolve a conflict by killing other person. The other person kills you. You know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add logic in this life. And of course, there are financial constraints that are also giving people so much pressure. We are living in debts. People have mshwari, people have tala and all those debts, and they are working towards draining their energies and all that. And this is a way, something that is making people lose control. They are losing temper because they are frustrated. Imagine just all of a sudden a mobile lending app calls like everyone on your phone call, and even your mother-in-law, and telling them that you have a debt of 2,000 or something. Of course, it's something that it's not going to sink well or anchor well with you. But again, we can just try live within our means, do whatever it is that we can do. Sometimes if life in that urban center is not working well for you, just move. If that house is too big for you to pay the bills, just move to a small house. Just live your life in your lane and stop fighting or competing with people that are living their lives huge. Because in as much as people are struggling, others are raising buildings, flats and all that, because we are living in a very, very different life. And this life, it's like a lane, it's like a highway. Overtaking is allowed. So even if someone you felt you are doing better is coming and they are crossing your way and going far and further, it is okay. And just let them be and live your life. There are so many people you'd find even at workplace, they're just getting suffocated by the pressure of how you dress, what you drive, what you eat, your lifestyle. I mean, it should not give you pressure, my friend. Just focus on your growth as a person, personal growth and development, and how you can make the lives of the people around you better, even if it's your family, even if it's yourself, so that you don't try focusing on the way people are living that gives you so much pressure. It start getting into debts. And of course, we cannot try to hide our heads in the sand, because GBV is here. And even there was a report that so many people, when COVID struck, so many families were hit with GBV. Gender-based violence, it is something that strips your self-esteem, your self-confidence. You're not even able to think for yourself. You feel unworthy, unwanted, and this is something that puts someone down. Their reasoning capacity is actually dropped by a very big margin because of going through a form of violence that's happening, be it at home or at work or at school. So when these things happen, when people find that they feel like they don't have the face to face the world because of the things that they are going through, they start to look for ways to either kill or finish their lives, or even those of others. There are people who have had even women trying to, and even kill their children, and even trying to kill themselves, because their self-esteem is just so low, and they just feel compromised, and they feel like they cannot make it in this life. It's just too much. But look here, there are people, there are therapists, there are mental health experts out there who are here to support you, to walk you through, to encourage you, to make ends meet, and have that silver lining in every situation. And of course, also there's another aspect of COVID-19. COVID-19 came and things happened. Of course, so many people lost their jobs. So what do you expect? And there was another report that said that Kenya is number 9 in the world in cases of depression, and number 4 in Africa. So when we are already a depressed country, of course, we are very vulnerable to cases or issues of suicide. So we need to think about ways to work out our personal establishments in as much as COVID has happened, and people have issues. Like, for instance, COVID happened and there was a change in how you manage loss and grief. Before then, like, there are cultures that people would even mourn 3 or 4 days and then bury their person. And by the time they're burying their person, someone has, or the family has already come to acceptance. But now, someone dies and within like the shortest time possible, they're already buried. And of course, loss and grief has 5 stages, and one of them is depression. So automatically, when someone close to you dies, you are already prone to depression. So how much more when these other factors are playing part? You realize we will end up into making even very, very irrational, very emotional decisions that most of the time we regret. And also there are, of course, things that curfew came, and people are not taking it lightly, because you can imagine you're a business person and your business is closed by 7 p.m. You have children to feed, you have a house, you have bills to pay. It makes everything even worse. The bad things are getting into worst situations, which is not very interesting, of course. And this is bringing suicidal ideation in a way that you just want to end life and just end the frustration someone is going through. And there are people, like, for instance, I know so many men who would use maybe watching football as a way of coping with the stresses that they are going through. But now when these things happen, it means that they can't have that opportunity to go maybe in a local pub and watch football and shout and project that negative energy. So they just go home with all of it. So a little spark like this, like if you just talk to them badly, they are so ready for the war, which might consciously or unconsciously end up into a homicide or a suicide, because they are all over, emotions scattered, they're everywhere, all over the place, and we're just thinking of what is the best way forward, even in handling this COVID pandemic. And we don't want to miss the fact that COVID brought loss of jobs. And if there was a way that people can just think of even self-employment, or think of a way that you can try and have alternative means of having an income. Right now, even if you are still at work, I should encourage people that even if you are still working, just have a few minutes within you and think about, what if I came back today to work and I'm told that my services are not needed? What will be of me? What will happen to my children, to myself? And whatever it is that you think that you can do, start practicing. Let's say if you're thinking maybe you can venture into farming, or you can venture into business, even if it's a small scale business, a business that you can even do while you're still at work. Please try and focus and give it the attention that it deserves, so that you just cushion yourself from the calamity of getting into depression because you've lost that job. And please, you can subscribe to this channel and send this link to your friends and family so that we are able to grow together, we're able to move forward and exploit our potentials for the better people that we are.